This isn't just Friday night under the lights. It's every early morning, every rep, every ounce of sweat that built this team. We don't play for stats. We don't play for hype. We play for the man beside us, for the name on our chest, for the tradition we carry every time we step on this field. Behind us, a swoop, a city, a family. In front of us, 100 yards of purpose. Tonight, we don't just show up. We take over. No fear, no doubt, just fire in our hearts and purple in our blood. We are Calvary, and this is our time.
Welcome in to the Calvary Coaches Show. Week 6 of the high school football season is upon us. The Cavaliers are a perfect 4-0 overall and tied for first place at 3-0 in the region. Joining me is head football coach of the Calvary Day Cavaliers, Jason Cameron. I am Jeffrey Roberts. Coach, 4-0, another win against Windsor Forest at home on Friday. Opening thoughts?
Yeah, that's what we want to continue to kind of go 1-0 each week. That's the plan. At this point in the season, it seems like we've been playing for a while, but when you put in perspective, it's only week 5, so it's still early on in the season. So for us right now, we want to continue to kind of improve, continue to become closer as a team. And, I think Coach Myro said it, and it was a great way of putting it, 1 through 10 hopefully prepares you for 11 through 15. So we want to continue to, improve and work on ourselves.
Well, some of the numbers from the Windsor Forest game on Friday: 355 total yards. James Mobley, another really great performance, 15 of 22, 217 yards and 2 touchdowns. Caden Jones in the backfield has been someone that's stepped up the last few weeks. 11 carries for 69 yards and 3 touchdowns. That's multiple touchdowns for Jones in 3 straight games. Let's start there out of the backfield. What have you seen from him and the guys behind him?
He's just a bruiser, and I think he's up to 9 touchdowns on the season, which is great numbers only through 4 games. He's that guy that, I think I said it last week or the week before. It's tackling him for an entire game is tough. He's 205 pounds. He's a hard-nosed runner, and then since Brexton Bell's been hurt, we bring in Zay Middleton, and he's like, the rocket ship that comes flying at you, So it's a good 1-2 punch. I think James is doing a great job of using his feet a little more this year. He busted his butt in the weight room all offseason. Has put on some good weight that makes him a better runner, and that's kind of brought it. Yeah, that's probably
see it right there.
Definitely, that's brought another dynamic to our offense. When you have to account for the quarterback, not only just in scrambles, but in like design QB run game, it's really difficult on the defense.
Those guys you just mentioned, that's 3 of 12 players that had a positive offensive play. You got a lot of guys in on the field. What does that do for the team?
It's huge. We spread the ball around a ton. Levon Owens had a great game for us. We're moving him around a lot because he's such a dynamic. Man, just caught that ball there. He's such a dynamic guy that I don't want to put him in a box where he's just a slot receiver or just an outside receiver. So we move him around a bunch. He's one of those guys that could, when it touches his hands, he could take it. So we want to put in Jalen Hicks is old reliable. I think he had another 4 catches, 99 yards. And, Marlon Knight is a guy that, like, it's so funny. Marlon has had such a good season, and he's such a quiet kid, and his season's kind of been quiet. He's such a matchup problem on the outside. He's a 50-50 problem. He always goes up and gets the ball. So it's a blessing to have so many guys to to spread the ball to.
The first one you mentioned of that group, Levon Chummy Owens, he had 4 receptions for 55 yards on Friday. He has 350 plus all-purpose through 4 games. Not just at wide receiver, but kick and punt return, he's a spark for the team.
It's huge. You know what I'm saying? When he touches the ball, he's always a risk to take it. You know what I'm saying? He's always a threat to take it. So it's one of those things where, as much as we get the ball in his hands, the better. I think another kid that we kind of fail to mention sometimes is Ty Pinkney, another sophomore. He had that huge kick return against Oceanside, and his touchdown catch Friday night was super impressive. Like, he's impressing me more and more each week. His upside is tremendous. He's deceptively fast, and he's another one that's really dynamic when the ball's in his hands.
Well, on the other side of the football, no points. There were a couple drives where Windsor Forest were knocking on the door, but some timely plays, a blocked field goal, a 4th down stop. Your defense is playing really well when it matters, and some of the things that jump off the page caused 3 turnovers, more than doubling the turnover margin for your opponents. That's a pillar every single time you guys play.
It's huge. Our goal is to be an opportunistic defense. We play against good teams that are to move the football. We want to be a bend but don't break defense, and we want to limit big plays. And I think from the Oceanside game, we've done a much better job tackling, especially in the back end. Now, a little disappointed in penalties. I thought we were way too penalized. Some of those drives were elongated because of penalties, and that's stuff that we gotta fix. That's completely on us. We are too disciplined for that, and that's something that we really focused on and addressed. This week of practice.
One of the highlights of your defense is Jeffrey McCormick, a junior. He was our Optum Sports Medicine Athlete of the Week. He had 5 sacks and now ranks solo second in the entire state of Georgia. What does he bring in that middle of your defense?
He's tough. He's a lacrosse superstar, and he didn't play football last year. And as soon as I got the job, he was probably one of the first kids I went and talked to, just because I just know he's a tough, gritty kid. He's a Calvary kid. That's what we want out there. And position change. He started as an interior backer. We've kind of slid him up to like kind of our edge. Kid's 185 pounds, but he plays like 200 plus. If you watch him rush the passer, it's impressive. But I was more impressed with his performance in Southeast Bullock, and in that mix, just sticking his space in there. He is a tough kid.
It feels like when I go back to my video every single game, there are always a few plays from him that just jump off.
Definitely.
He's an athlete, but just one of the many guys in that secondary and defense altogether that shine for you.
Yeah, definitely. Like I said, he's always around the ball. Even when he played linebacker, he just has a knack for the football. Does he do everything right? Absolutely not, but he has a knack for the football. So, he's been such a blessing for our defense. He's made our defense, along with like KB, Davis Witherington, and those guys, just a really sound defense that runs around and hits you.
In that game against Windsor Forest, it was choppy at times with all the whistles, with all the penalties for both sides. But you told me on Monday, and I really like this, you said, Stroud told me sometimes that when you go back to the film, it's not going to be as bad as it feels.
That's right.
That game against Windsor Forest, the film didn't lie. There was some good performances regardless of all the yellow flags.
Absolutely. Like schematically, we were actually pretty good. Coach Stroud saw me after the game. He saw I wasn't very happy. And he said, man, just, sit on it. And the film usually doesn't always, look like what it looked like live. And he was right. We broke it down. We had some mistakes, of course, and we fixed them. But it was definitely a better performance than I believe, it looked live. We did some really good things.
Yeah. Well, final thoughts from Windsor Forest. That's 3-0 in the region, tied for first place. A big one this Friday that we'll get to.
Yep.
But final thoughts from that game 4.
Yeah, it was a good performance. Like I said, we limit penalties. I've already said that. That's something that we thrive on, the thought that we are more disciplined than what we showed on Friday. So that's something that we got to bring into this week, because it's very important. And we just got to continue being an opportunistic defense, limit big plays, and offensively continue to move the ball and maximize drives. Not necessarily scores, but we got to maximize all of our drives.
Well, to put up 49 points, you got to have an offensive line that gets you down the field. To have 12 guys with positive yards, your offensive line has got to be good. And our first guest on the Week 6 edition of the Calvary Coaches Show is one of those Hogs. Senior John Swindell, a leader on this football team, joins us next from Trailer Park Pizza Party.
Right now, every single game that we play is a region championship. That team. It doesn't matter who does it, as long as it gets done. And let's go punish these dudes. Let's go. Be great on 3. 1, 2, 3. Be great. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Hey, find out me. Find out me. What you think, family?
By number 6, Keenan Baker. Josh Rogers, we puts it in for Calvary touchdown.
Hey, family on me, family on 3, family.
4-0. Jenkins next, let's go.
Welcome back inside the Calvary Coaches Show, live from Trailer Park Pizza Party on Habersham Street. Our first guest of this afternoon is senior lineman John Swindell. John, appreciate you being here on the Calvary Coaches Show.
Yeah, of course. My pleasure.
Let's just talk background of football. You know, you are now a senior leader on this football team. I'm sure that your career has gone by in the blink of an eye. When did it start? What was kind of the influence of getting into the game?
Right, so my brother played football, so I was in football when I was 4 years old. I've been playing for a long time. It's my 4th year at Calvary. Yeah, it's really my brothers what got me into it, my family and my brother, and I've just grew a passion for it over the years.
Is that something that in your family dynamic, football is kind of a pillar and that you enjoy as a family, enjoying the sport?
Yeah, definitely. I enjoy the sport a lot, and then, yeah, of course, it's a pillar in my family. We watch it every Saturday, Sunday, big Dogs fan, so, yeah. Yeah, I've been watching football since I can remember, since I've been born.
Yeah.
Football's been in the house. Yeah.
Well, you've also been a Cavalier now. This is year 4. What's the process been like at Calvary? How did you get here? What was the first conversations? And just looking back on your time, what does the school mean to you?
Right. Yeah, Calvary means so much to me. It's really grew me as a person more than just football. It's been a good school for me in general. I think I take academics a lot more serious since I've been at Calvary. I think that's just what the teachers instilled in me. And so when I was in middle school, I went to Ebenezer, which is out in Effingham, and I just saw an opportunity at Calvary. We had a good football team, education was good, and I spoke to Chumley about coming because I'd like to come, and he was a football coach at the time, and yeah, and I just saw the opportunity, and I thought it was the best one to take academically. They had a great football team too.
And Coach Cameron, you pick him up in sophomore year. He's on your offensive line. What were your initial thoughts about him and just the grinder that he is?
Well, he played multiple positions. First of all, you know, he's at the next level. He's a college center. I tell everybody that he gets. You know, he's our backup center. God forbid if something happens to Carson, but it's a perfect example. You know, he plays a secondary position. Plays guard. He plays tackle. He plays defense. So he's a team first guy, and he's just a grinder, man. He sets the tone specifically, especially in the summertime. Watching him in the way that he attacked the weight room and the way that he's kind of developed a little bit more of a leader. And I've listened to the way that he's talked to some of our younger guys because he's been through it now. I believe he even got some varsity time as a freshman, if I'm not mistaken. So he knows kind of what it takes to perform at the highest level. He's just a blessing to have for us. He's a smart offensive lineman. Not only smart on the field, but he's a guy that probably is a 3.5, 4.0 plus kid. He takes really, really hard academic classes. So he doesn't only lead us on the field, but he also leads us in the hallways and in the classroom.
The senior leadership from year to year is at times can make or break a football team. And the brotherhood, starting with you, Coach Cameron, for this question, this year's senior class with him near the forefront of that, what is that brotherhood and how is it tying this year's 2025 team together?
Well, you're only going to be as good as your seniors. They hear me say it all the time, and I'm hard on these guys. We only have 8 of them. We've lost 2 to injury, so it's kind of like there's 6 that are rolling right now, and it doesn't matter. That we're only going to be as good as those 6 seniors perform Monday through Thursday and, of course, on Friday. So, you know, we're hard on them. Our expectations of them are really, really, really high. And someone like John always steps up to the table. What I like about him is even when he doesn't play his best game, he always come out Monday. He's super coachable, and he wants to make the adjustment. He's a kid that just wants to be great. He wants to be great at everything he does.
And, John, when in this process of getting toward your senior year, did you kind of look in the mirror and maybe was it as a group of seniors and say, you know, there's nothing wrong with the way it's been done, but you can always make things better. Where was the foundation of making sure this senior class became leaders?
Right, and then it's really started. Coach Cameron really instilled a brotherhood throughout the team, and throughout the brotherhood, we're going to kind of be the older brothers. The older brothers kind of make the rules. So, yeah, I think we've just kind of, you know, really instilled the brotherhood, made a new culture at Calvary, and I think seniors set the tone. Like he said, it was really nail on the head. I can't add too much more to that. Yeah.
Well, for the future, you said that if depending on offers and depending on the way you get scouted, you'd be interested in college football. But something that interests me is always after football. What type of things keep you going? And you said that you've grown up around the medical field. Your mom has worked in the medical field. Where did that start? What do you remember, and why is that something that you want to accomplish when you get older?
Well, my mom's always worked in the medical field, and both my grandmothers work in the medical field, nurses. And so I've interned quite a few times at her offices and hospitals, and I think that's my calling, is to help people in that way. And it's like football a lot, you know. I told you earlier, it's a lot like football. You have your nurses, and I'm gonna compare them to linemen because not that they're big, but it's like they don't get a lot of credit, and they're the ones that do a lot. And then you have surgeons that are kind of like the quarterback of the team, like they kind of do the performance, but you still have so many people.
So
team.
I love that. Nurses, offensive, defensive line, quarterback is the surgeon. Why in the game of football is it setting you up, whether you do get that opportunity in college or not? Why is now setting you up for that future?
Teamwork. I think teamwork's definitely necessary. No matter what I do in the medical field, whether it's hopefully a surgeon, hopefully I go all the way and get it all. But it's always going to be a team, no matter what atmosphere I'm in the medical field. I'm always going to have people to work with to help other people. Yeah.
Well, the team that you're on currently, what's your favorite part about it?
This team has a great connection. I feel such a strong connection with all the teammates on this team, which it's more than any other team that I've played with. I think we're all playing for each other, and it's more of the team, like what's going to better the team, not myself mentality, which I really enjoy that. It's so much less to worry about when you don't have to worry about somebody thinking of themselves.
And Coach Cameron, after the wins over Oceanside and SEB, the message is about how resilient and the mental toughness. This senior class and him, what about them? When you preach that to the team, I'm sure you have them in the back of your mind because they've instilled that.
Oh, definitely, and they've played on high stages before. Swindell lost in the semifinals as a sophomore. Lost in the quarterfinals as a junior. So he's played on those really, really high stages. He played in front of 5,000 people when we played Savannah Christian that night. So he's been on the big stages. So, he has that experience. So having those guys understand what it takes to be successful on and off the field makes it so much easier for me. There are more coaches out there, you know what I'm saying? And they have a way to say it that I can't. They're in the locker room every day. That locker room, man, it is a brotherhood. And there's things that go on in the locker room that only they can do, and I love a player-run team. And guys like John have made that, sustainable to that our guys essentially run this team. I'm just here to kind of manage it.
Yeah. Well, John, senior year, it's an important one. Tell me about how you have seen and kind of taken in what this year is, and then what are you trying to give back to it? Because you're just trying to leave it better than you found it 4 years ago.
Right, yeah. This team, like my senior year, what I've seen from this team is that we're very determined. We haven't really stopped. We haven't really turned over in any games, even close games with SCB, Oceanside. We never really stopped, and we kept on grinding for each other. Back to the point, the brotherhood.
Yeah.
And I think I just like to keep that going. If I'm going to leave this team with something, I want to leave it with that mentality, that brotherhood, which it wasn't only the seniors that instilled that. It's Coach Cameron, it's juniors, sophomores, several people, but I think it's the best thing that I could leave maybe. Yeah,
well, it's
possibly.
across the board. Yeah. All right. Appreciate you, John. Thank you very much for
Thank
coming
you.
on the Coaches Show.
Yeah.
Up next, it's Pastor P, Jonathan Phillips. He joins us on the Calvary Coaches Show. Our next guest on the Calvary Coaches Show live from Trailer Park Pizza Party on Habersham Street is a man the Calvary community knows very well. He's kind of got a hand in a lot of things in athletics. It's Jonathan Phillips, better known as Pastor P. Can we allude to you as Pastor P the rest of the show?
That'll be fine, Pastor P. That's what they know me as on this side of town. So, yeah.
I got to ask, when's the last time that you've been referred to as Jonathan, and then did it make you turn your head a little bit quicker?
My wife. Yeah, that's it. She calls me Jonathan, and so that's about it. That's the only place I get it.
Is it when she's mad at you?
That's usually, yeah, Jonathan. Yeah. Very rare, though.
Well, hey, Pastor P, you are a staple in Calvary athletics, in an assistant coaching role, in a chaplain role. The reason bringing you on today is just it feels like the Calvary athletic department, since Stroud's taken over, it's very faith-based, and you are a very faith-based individual. You have a life verse. I want to start there. What is that verse?
So Romans 8:28, right? All things come together for the good of those who love him and are called according to his purpose. And, going back in my life, Lori and I have seen that played out over and over again. I'd shared with you from back to when God called us to ministry, to taking us to New Orleans, to losing everything in Katrina, to coming all the way to Savannah, to be at a church only for a year, and then to end up being a pastor, which is something I never wanted to do. I always wanted to be somewhat in sports ministry or coaching, and God finally just said, "Hey," he calls me Jonathan. Jonathan, if you just tie into me, we're going to get you there. And it took some time, but listen, I understood that verse ultimately for me is we a lot of times focus on all things come together for good. We want to know what the good is, but we miss the last part that says it's according to his purpose ultimately. Yeah. And so that's why I'm here and how I landed here, and been with Stroud and Philip Lee, who was here, and now get to work alongside this guy and truly one of my best friends, and it's just been a neat journey.
In partnership with your many roles at Calvary, you are the lead pastor at Silk Hope Baptist Church here in Savannah. How have you found that balance of being a lead pastor, but then you for athletics, kind of the lead pastor of Calvary? Yeah,
they've been very supportive from day one. When I interviewed with them, I probably tried to give them every reason to not hire me, and because I'm not an office guy, I don't have some big plan. I just said, hey, we're going to come in and preach God's word, and I said I love working with athletics. I love being with kids, and through different things, I ended up coaching at Pooler, and our kids were in public school, and then we ended up just saying we got to do something different. Unfortunately, we had to do that, and we had never seen Calvary, came to Calvary, and boom, we ended up landing there. But the church all along, man, they know we pray. My church prays for our kids. Pray for our coaches. They know them. I mention them by name. We will have prayer time tonight, and every week we pray for our football program. We pray for the athletes and for the kids in the school, and so they've been great, and I love them to death. I've been there 16 years this past weekend, and so they're just some of the greatest people you'll ever want to meet, and some of them have come from coaching. They've showed up at our church, and that's where they're at serving now. So I love them to death, man.
Congratulations on 16
Thanks,
years.
Man.
That's a long time to be somewhere.
Yeah.
Well, Coach Cameron, we'll bring this over to you now. He brings a lot and elevates the faith as a foundation for Calvary athletics. How does he really personify that and bring that to your team, and not just speaking to the team, but the presence really helps?
Well, I was about to. It's kind of, you took it from me. He's on the show right now, and it's like I get he just his presence. He's just a nonstop energy guy. You know what I'm saying? He every Tuesday, he comes to our team, and we go over some sort of a hymn or whatever he wants to talk about that day. And when he delivers the message, man, it's always relatable to anybody, from coaches to players. It's always relatable. And he just does it with so much passion. When he preaches the gospel, it's like he's giving a pregame speech, or he's preparing for, the state championship game. And so for me personally, he's helped me grow in my faith so much. I did not grow up in a Christian school. I remember the first time that I prayed in front of the team. I don't know if he even remembers this. He was the first person I told. I was so proud of myself. So I've never done it before. And it was something that, I would, you watch coaches and you steal things from them. When he talks to our team and he's preaching the gospel, I'm sitting there absorbing all of it, because I'm like, man, that's something I want to be able to do. Yeah.
Well, your story and your road to get to this point has been a challenge. You touched on it, but I mean, Hurricane Katrina, you did lose everything.
Yeah.
What can you kind of fit that story into how you were in Georgia, you move over there, you move back, you just bounced around, and Katrina was kind of a catalyst for your story.
Yeah, so I mean, I'm talking to these kids a lot, and they all come from different. One thing I love about Calvary, and I will die on this hill. We are a mission school, man, and not every kid that comes in our school knows Christ, right? And so, the one thing that we understand is that most of these kids, especially in athletics, you say the Lord's Prayer before the game. Everybody, I give glory to God when I get an offer and all this. But what I want them to understand, because of what I've experienced through all those things that I dealt with, like Katrina, all that, there is a God who walked down from the mountain, who is pursuing these kids and wants them to know him. I accepted Christ at 8 years old. It took years for me to understand. It wasn't just a get out of jail free card, man. It was about a relationship with the living God, the Lord Jesus Christ. And so through Katrina, I'm able to come to a kid who's maybe going through a hard time and say, listen, man, I know what it means to lose everything. I understand when you don't know what you're going to do tomorrow. I had a 2-year-old son, maybe three at the time. My wife's pregnant with our second kid, Brooks, who's now off in college. And I'm the husband. I'm supposed to provide. I don't know what I'm going to do. That's a hard place to be as a dad and a husband. And so I think in some way, without ever telling them any of that, I'm able to understand. And sometimes I know when to just shut up, right? And just kind of be there with them, right? Not try to fix something. And that's something that's a process, man. It's taking time, and God continues to do that with me as a pastor. But even go beyond our kids, man, the coaches, man, I love just sitting in with them, and they're themselves with us, with me. They're not trying to put on because I'm a pastor, and we talk about life, man. And I'm able to identify in some ways. And listen, I'm not a guy who was groomed to be a pastor. I said it, well, I never wanted to be, but God led me to this place, and this is what I'm doing. And I wouldn't want to do anything else other than this. And so I'm maybe not your prototypical guy. This is about as dressy as I get on Sundays. My church knows that. But it's relating with people, and it's the greatest tool of being able to share Christ with people. It's not just about preaching at them. It's about doing life with them and coming alongside of them. And if you've been through some things, sometimes God's prepared you in such a way where it's a little bit easier to come alongside.
I had asked you a couple of days ago, talking about the dynamic of being in an assistant role on the baseball team, and a bus driver, and a chaplain for the football and tennis, and just across the board for athletic department. And something that you said that stuck is that you are a head coach at your church.
Right.
You don't need to be a head coach at Calvary.
Right.
The dynamic of coming to Calvary and being able to kind of be in the shadows and lead that way. How does your faith make that work?
Well, listen, I've always said in church, the pastor's never at the top of the pyramid. It's turned upside down. And so I'm on the bottom. I'm supposed to be the lead servant. And I fail at that all the time, man. I get in my own way sometimes, and but God humbles me and he teaches me. Leadership, I believe, ultimately, if you're going to be a servant, you got to be like Christ was. And again, I'm not claiming to be that guy, but that I have an unbelievable model to follow after. And so, so when I'm at church, I'm looked at as the guy in a lot of ways. If something's not right, they come to me, right? Or something is good, I get the pat on the back. Sometimes it's nice to come and just to be able to support this guy and to be able to pray for them and to go up and run a camera or whatever. And whatever, as I told him, whatever you want me to do, I'm going to do it. And it's just because I love the opportunity to get to do what I do, man. And that's just something that I cherish that. And sometimes I don't do it the best, but I work at it, right?
Well, the physical aspect of sports at times can reveal the true character of someone. And now Coach Cameron, moving to you, he says that he tries to take that character and mold them into good young men and women, and that's where he feels like he steps in. As someone who is at the physical part of that foundation, how do you think the two tie together?
Well, he just said it. He's probably the most selfless person I've ever met. He's what we build our program on and our school on is servant leadership, and he just talked about it. He's a lead pastor at a church, and when he comes here, he's running cameras, he's DJs practice. Whatever needs to get done, Pastor P's usually there to get it done. You know what I'm trying to say? He's picking up pregame sandwiches one day because we had no one else to do it. I'll do it. So it's what we preach every single day about servant leadership and what it truly, truly means to serve and take a step back, and you have to serve before you can lead. He's the perfect example of it. So, he's just leading not only through his voice, but through his actions. And, so it's always, we say it takes a village to run a football program. It takes a village to raise children. He's a huge part of the Calvary Village. We're a better school community because Pastor P's a part of it.
Well, before we let you go, Pastor P, let's touch on football just a little bit.
Yeah.
Cavs are 4-0. Well, you have a front row seat to it.
Be nice.
You're in the golf cart at practices.
Yeah.
What do you see schematically from this team? Let's let the ball talk get going.
Listen, man, one thing, and I think John said it well, we don't have any selfish players. And I'm not saying we did before, but listen, when you have kids that are just highly, highly recruited kids, sometimes the light's going to shine a little brighter. And we got some kids that are like that have that recruit, they're being recruited at a high level. But these guys, man, I don't know. They believe in something that's bigger. And I hope it's what we're talking about. We've got a lot of freshmen that are just kind of grabbing a hold of this team aspect. And one of the things anytime somebody shares something, I always put #more, because there's always more to this. And I think that's what we keep talking about, right? There's always more than just you. These kids think they came to Calvary for their education and football. God's got something more in store. We don't just show up. We want to win the game Friday night because God expects the very best out of us. And those kids pour everything into that. But when it's said and done, there's something else bigger that's happening. And I believe that may be the answer. What I see in it, man, I get frustrated when bad calls are made. I get frustrated when we don't make plays. I'm just like any other coach. But I see there's something that's just in these kids, man, that's come from the coaching and just pouring into them that's just different about them this year. Yeah. And listen, I'll say it. We got a quarterback who is one of the most selfless people you'll ever meet, man. James Mobley, and I can say that about a number of kids, but listen, the reality is when it comes down to the end of the day, you're only as good as your quarterback's going to be, not just in their playing ability, but their leadership. And so I see he plays a key role. Yeah. And the other kids kind of fall in with him. There's other guys that could supersede that and step in front, but they understand, man. And again, he's a servant leader. Yeah. And so, and I got to see that in baseball. I mean, this guy, we played half our year and didn't even pick up a bat and just played outfield for us. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, I think when you see guys like that, and we have a handful of those guys, something special, man. Yeah. Something special.
Pastor P, appreciate you as always.
Man.
Thank you so much for being on the coach. It almost was like you knew who our next guest was, too. Talk about quarterbacks that lead the charge. Yeah. Coming up after the break, our next guest, it was a virtual Zoom call with 2024 Calvary graduate Jake Merklinger. You won't want to miss it. That's next.
Bluffton Fence and Gutter is a proud partner of Calvary Day Athletics.
Our next guest on the Calvary Coaches Show is a name and face the Calvary community knows and loves. It's 2024 graduate Jake Merklinger. Jake, appreciate you taking the time with all your busy schedules to be a guest on the Coaches Show.
Yes, sir. Happy to be here.
Let's start with kind of the reason why the conversation started. Your first collegiate touchdown pass a couple weeks ago. You get some good time against ETSU. Just tell me about the experience, knowing that second half was kind of yours for the taking. What was the experience like? And you kind of walk us through it.
Oh yeah, it was really cool. Offense played a really good first half, so did the defense. So it was just cool to be able to get in there, start out the second half, and then getting in the end zone for the first time was really cool because I played a little bit last year, but didn't get in the end zone myself. So it was really cool to kind of experience that and see the fans. That stadium's a little different, so it was really cool to score a touchdown there.
What was the headspace after the play before you thought that it was a touchdown, gets overturned? I'm sure coaches said, no, we got to get Jake his first touchdown.
No, I wish it went like that. I threw a bad ball, to be honest. I should have thrown a better ball. We would have had an easy completion in the end zone, but the receiver ran a great route. And then, the next play just came about, like the matchup, and, made the throw.
Yeah. Wait, did it feel any different hearing the roar of the crowd with the touchdown pass that you threw?
Yeah, it did. It felt a little different because I was, you're the one throwing it, but that crowd's like that every game. So no matter how many fans are in there or what.
Well, let's talk about your time at Tennessee then. In the last year and a half, couple years that you've really been boots on the ground since graduating, what about that community kind of makes it, proved you're right with that's the place where you wanted to go?
Yeah, I feel like my coaches and my teammates, I love them to death. It reminds me a lot of Calvary. We're all really close. I have great relationships with everybody. The people are really good. They're nice, and everybody's super competitive, wants to win. And Knoxville is an amazing place. It's fun. The fans are great. The stadium's great. I couldn't ask for a better spot.
You did a lot of good things dating back to your Calvary days as a 4-year starter. How did Calvary prepare you for college? But then also, how did it prepare you mentally that when you got to Tennessee, knowing that you don't have it all figured out, you still have to be a sponge and soak it all in it, the next steps, despite the success you had had?
Yeah, Calvary prepared me great. A lot of credit of that goes to Coach Stroud. Just simple things like character skills that he taught me, discipline, hard work, how to treat others. I carry that with me every day. And then on the football side of it, Coach Cameron, offensive coordinator my last year, did a really good job of, X's and O's things, just teaching me about the game, kind of growing my knowledge of the game. This way I could get here. And then you think you get here and you know everything and you don't. You kind of start at ground zero again, and just willing to learn new things and, learn from people who know more than you about the game has been really cool.
Has it been an interesting feeling to now be, small fish in a big pond, and it was complete 180 from when you were at Calvary?
Yeah, it has. Like, like I said, you start at ground zero when you get here. But, the people here don't make you feel like that. They make you feel like everybody is a part of something, and, it's really cool.
Are there any ties? Do you feel like the community, volunteer community, any ties to Calvary? Do you see the similarities?
Yeah, there's definitely some similarities there. Everybody loves football team, and that was very similar at Calvary.
What you bring up Coach Stroud and Coach Cameron. Let's talk about Stroud first, because he was your head coach when you were here. That relationship, for someone who he is a legend to so many, but to know that he has a personal impact on you that still stands today. What about that relationship makes you proud to be as close as you are to him?
I don't know, just probably how, open the communication was from day one. I still talk to him on a weekly basis. If I ever needed something, I call him. He's someone I go to for advice often, actually, and I'll go to him for advice about anything, and I mean anything. So just having that relationship has been really cool. And like you said, he is a legend, and I'll never forget the things that he taught me.
And the Calvary football team really hasn't skipped a beat with Coach Cameron taking over. What about your 1 year with him? Did you kind of say to yourself, this guy's got it. Whatever's next for Calvary or whatever his next steps are, he's going to find success as a coach. What did you see from that relationship?
Yeah, it doesn't shock me at all that they haven't skipped a beat. And as good as my relationship is with Coach Stroud, I can't say that I've ever had a better relationship with a coach in my entire life than I have with Coach Cameron. We text multiple times a day. I have a close relationship with his son, with his wife. They're a great family, and yeah, he's killing it there. He still will continue to kill it. I love him. Just kind of things that we talk about. He's a super competitive guy, which is where we found similarities. Wanted to win more than anything, and that kind of grew us close together.
Schematically, how did he help you in your senior season as that offensive mind kind of in your ear?
I would say similar to me and Coach Stroud's relationship, just having we were open about everything schematically. So if I felt like something might work or he felt like something might work, we'd run it by each other, kind of talk about it. And then he was really good about, asking me what I felt comfortable with. I think that was one of the best things he did as a coach. He would never call a play that I wasn't comfortable with. And, if I wasn't comfortable with something, I would let him know.
And do you feel like that made you a better football player, being able to have those open lines of communication that some athletes don't always have?
Yeah, no, it definitely did. Like as a quarterback, it's really important to, be on the same page as your play caller. Because if not, you don't want to run out there and run a play that you're not comfortable with. And so he was really good about that.
Well, Calvary's starting quarterback right now, James Mobley, as a freshman, he was underneath you. That relationship is still a strong one, and it's one that I know you both hold close to your hearts.
Yeah, James is the man. He was a freshman when I was a senior, I think. So we had a really good relationship. We were also super open with each other. Kind of, he would ask me questions. I would be really straightforward with him, tell him expectations. I tell him the good things about playing quarterback, the bad things about playing quarterback. And man, he's super, super talented. He pushed me in practice every day. So yeah, I love James, and I hope to continue see him succeed.
Well, your history and your roots tie back to 63rd and Waters. Have you put in perspective at all, now that you're a couple years removed from being at Calvary, what your time here meant? And in general, how proud are you to say that you were a Cavalier and that's home?
Yeah, I'm very proud of it. That definitely is home. I love that place. I hope to see them continue to succeed. I know they will under Coach Cameron. I love all the people there. My teachers. I have great relationships with all my teammates from high school. Still talk to all my buddies. So yeah, I love that place.
Yeah, well, just last one for you, Jake. Moving forward, you're under Joey Aguilar right now, who is an absolute stud, and moving forward from there, you're hoping to take the reins of the offense at Tennessee. What are some goals you have for yourself? How much are you soaking in right now for eventually in the future to hopefully be QB1 and the guy in Knoxville?
Yeah, just start off with being under Joey. He's an amazing guy. Loves Jesus, which is super important. So just being able to see that we have a great relationship with each other. And yeah, I'm excited for my future. We'll see what happens. I'll continue to work hard, and hopefully my time will come.
Yeah. All right. Well, Jake, appreciate you joining me on the Calvary Coaches Show. We'll chat with you soon.
Yeah, go Cavs.
Coach, that's some high praise from, at this point, a legend in the Calvary community. I know that relationship is still very, very important to you.
Oh, strong. When your son starts playing football and he wears number 12 because of a player, it just shows the relationship you have. I've coached a lot of kids, and I've coached a lot of kids that I've had really, really strong relationships. Javonte Middleton at Jenkins, Bryce Davis in Vidalia, some players that we currently coach here, Dupa Coleman, guys on our current team. It was something with Jake, man. We just clicked almost immediately. It was, I was coming down here. I was still living in Vidalia at the time. I'd come down on Tuesdays, and it was just almost like instantly. We're very similar people in a sense, and man, it was just. I'm super thankful for our relationship. We were able to go up there and watch a game last year, and like I said, when your son wears somebody's number and he idolizes somebody, and it's Jake Merklinger, I feel really good about it.
One more real quick. That first touchdown pass, I'm sure there were some cheers in the household, or out when you saw that on your phone.
Oh, there's no doubt. Listen. Our house was kind of rooting for Tennessee last week. But yeah, I was super proud. That's like a proud dad moment, man. And I just know there's so many more to come for him, because he's got a long, long career in football.
Yes, sir. All right. Week 6 of the high school football season is this Friday. When we come back on the Calvary Coaches Show, we take a look at Jenkins and wrap up this episode. Well, a big game on Friday at Memorial Stadium. It's a 7:30 kickoff between the Cavaliers and the Warriors. Two teams tied at the top of the table at 3-0 in the region. This is a game that has been circled. You said that this may be the most complete team that is on your 10-game schedule.
There's no doubt. You know, you watch film of them. They're massive up front, man. They're going to come out of the locker room looking like Georgia. And then their team speed from top to bottom is really, really impressive. Coach Welsh has got them locked in and playing really, really good football. And they've played good football for some years now. And you know, they're a confident group and they're an energetic group. So it's gonna be like a heavyweight title fight. I think it's gonna be kind of one of those ones that is just gonna be like an up and down roller coaster ride. And I'm just praying for a great football game against two really, really good teams.
Well, they have won 3 straight. Their first game of the season was against Lowndes down in Valdosta. What did you see when you watched that game? And then as they grow over the next 3 games to be unblemished?
Oh, they just keep getting better. You know, Lowndes, you put it in perspective, Lowndes is a 6A program, highest classification, storied program. They went to Lowndes and were in the football game the entire game. It didn't look like an overmatched football team at all. So, you know, super impressive against that game. And then since then, they've just been rolling. They've just been kind of steamrolling teams, to be completely honest with you. They, you know, averaging a ton of pass yards per clip. They're one of the highest scoring teams in AAA. So, you know, and they play really solid defense. So it's a tall task. We've been in really tough games, you know, Southeast Bullock, Oceanside. So, you know, we're prepared for it. We know we'll face some adversity Friday, and we're just hoping that, you know, we come out on top at the end of this thing.
You mentioned the completion average. They have 27 total completions through 4 games. They're averaging almost 25.5 yards per completion. You said just this morning that if your defense can give up a 11 or 12 play drive, that would bode better than these big plays that they have.
Yeah, you know, you're hoping to they're a bit, when you play against teams that are big play offenses like they are, you're hoping that you got to limit those big plays. So, you know, listen, and they're fully capable of going on an 11, 12 play drive with those offensive linemen and the running backs that they got, but you want to limit the big plays against these teams. They thrive on big plays, they thrive on special teams big plays. So it's so important to tackle in space and just, you know, like I said before, you know, bend but don't break.
So how much of the scouting of Jenkins is different, and how much of it is similar than what you've had to do over the first few weeks of the season?
Very similar. You know what I'm saying? We our coaching staff does that. We grind, man. We got a great staff that grinds, watches a ton of film, and we focus on, areas where we could improve, and then obviously areas where we feel we may have an advantage or two, and other than like our biggest focus every single week defensively is lining up correctly first. Offensively, seeing where we can attack and maximizing possession. So, week in and week out, the game plans are different, but the preparation's the same.
Yeah. Well, all right. Any final thoughts? Your team, Jenkins side, before you get to Memorial Stadium on Friday.
Like I say, I'm proud of some guys that helped us prepare this week. Damir Williams is a guy that sticks out to me. He was a defensive lineman that played this week against Windsor Forest, as we had another injury. We played without 5 defensive starters on Friday against Windsor. So, another guy that had that next man up mentality and was ready when his number was called, and had a great week of practice on scout teams leading up to that. So super thankful for him. I think it's going to be an electric atmosphere at Memorial Stadium. I coach Jenkins. I love them. They're great people over there. Their homecoming is something that's a lot of fun, and get to see some of those alumni guys that I've coached in the past. So I'm just looking for an electric atmosphere against two really good playoff football team. It's great for the city of Savannah.
Yeah, well, I guess let's just talk a little bit then about that time at Jenkins. What do you remember, and what did that do for your development that puts you in your chair today a better head coach than you were there?
I've changed a lot. I'm sure if Javante Middleton and Mean Stevens and these guys were on the show, they'd say I've definitely, which is crazy, I've mellowed some. But no, it was great because I felt like we kind of built it there. We didn't have the most resources, and they still don't. In the sense of we our last year there going to the semifinals, we didn't have a practice field or a weight room. You know what I'm saying? And we go to the semifinals. So it's just a testament to those kids. Jenkins is going to have really, really tough kids, prideful. They love being Jenkins Warriors. So like I said, it's these are two really, really good teams. It's going to be fun Friday.
It's going to be a hard-nosed matchup. It's really the game of the week in Southeast Georgia at Memorial Stadium, 7:30 p.m. kickoff between the Cavaliers and Warriors. Coach, good luck. And we'll see you on Friday.
Yes, sir.
All right, for Coach Jason Cameron, I am Jeffrey Roberts. Thank you for watching Week 6 edition of the Calvary Coaches Show.